Hey, Peter, I sent you a link, by the way. Go for join me. If you look, you should be able to join that without any problem. And here, I got to do that one more time. Guys, past performance is not indicative of future results. If you'll take time to read this legal notice, trading derivatives comes with substantial risk. Make sure you're aware of the risks and how much capital it can take to both make money and the substantial risk there is to losing capital if you don't have a good risk management plan. Okay, hold on one second here. Kill the lights, and we're going to go. Okay, so hold on a second here. And hopefully, I cannot see the video image, but hopefully everyone can see me okay. So, there we are. Okay, great. So I am in the, I'm going to have to get this fired up too. Hold on a second. Here we go. Okay, we are in business. So really quick, we're obviously gapping down this morning in terms of where we are with, one second here. Let's see. NQ's down 45. ES is down 6 1/4, not substantial. But the whole point behind this, if you'll look at where obviously I put out the zones overnight. Let's just take a quick look at the profile. Sorry, my brain kind of went, well, what am I doing? And now we are awake. So look at the profile from overnight and where we're opening today. Excuse me, not the profile from overnight, right? We're gapping in and underneath. So go through the notes, right? So I just want to do kind of a 1, 2, 3, 4 process, right? We are gapping down. That opens up the possibility for a potential island reversal, right? Potential open drive lower, right? And potential trend day down. Okay, you're going to balance that against it being Monday, which is, sorry, I just got a, let me turn that off. I have that alarm going. John, I'm going to obviously have to turn that off for ES. Hold on one second here. I will fix that in just a moment. But otherwise, I love it. So what's the whole point, or what is the point behind that? So first of all, if in the first half hour we can't close the gap and we can't get back underneath the value area, right, that would open us up to come back in testing a couple of areas. First of all, the mid of the gap, right? So let's talk about this. The mid of the gap, which is sitting at 29.2250. That's also the old swing high, right? So let me pull this in so you can see this. That's the old, that's where we gapped away from, right? And this whole area right here, that 2250. Wait, what was off to the left? There we go. Let's fix this. Sorry about that. Right there. Okay. 29.23 1/4 to 29.2250. That's the old breakout point, right? So you have two competing interests. You have the gap away, return, backside test, continuation higher, or the island reversal, trap back inside of prior high, and then roll back to the downside where we have potential the old trading range. And if you look at what the old trading range was, I would count the trading range down to, let's get rid of this. Right here. That's generally, as you can see, that was where resistance came in, down there at 28.99 to 28.97. That became the old, this became the top of the balance area at the bottom. It was the bottom of the balance area on top. So today's potentially an important day, right? Trapping underneath 29.23 and being unable to get back above or below, and being unable to get back above obviously sends you down to the bottom of that top. Let me restate that. Being unable to get back above 29.23 when we test against that, which we're about to test, right, would send you potentially to the bottom of the trading range, right? If this was a intraday chart, you would say we attempted to break out, trapped back into the top of the range, now travel to the bottom of the range. Well, the bottom of that range is 28.99, right? That's your potential downside target. It's doubtful that we hit that today, but that's your potential downside target. If you look at how far we're possibly going to extend before we find responsive buyers, and you can see Globex low or the low of the session has come in at 28.23 1/4, right? So if you look at what the bottom of what a natural extension would be, we're down 10 right now. You add another 10, that would put us minus 20 and put us at 29.14, right? Right into this naked volume point of control and naked TPO point of control, right? If you add another 5, right, that would put you at 29.08. I don't have anything at 29.08 besides an untested value area low, which is sitting around 29.07. I'm giving you the specific areas we're looking for, right? And then finally, the bottom of the range. I would not expect to get past 29.08, and I expect responses at 23, 19, and 15. Those areas specifically. I can't get more pinpoint accurate than those locations, right? I expect the market to respond and push back up. Now, there's 2 ways to handle it. You can just buy into that area, right, into those areas with a 4-point stop and look for your responsive buys. That's the old zone style of trading, right? Or we use the and by the way, I have copper short here, and I missed the entry, so I'm going to try to grab a copper short at 2.8625. I'm going to put that in now. Okay, so 2.8625. I'm trying to grab a copper short. My stop on that trade is going to be the high of the day plus a tick, which will be 2.8675. Okay, so 2.8625. I'll put that on the stream real quick, guys. For copper, 2.8625. And I got that short filled. Second. And stop is 8675. Okay. And that is a full-size trade. This week I'm on 5 cars. I'm not moving to 10 cars yet. I don't have my exits quite set up, but I'm very comfortable with that trade entry. Okay. So long story short, okay, is that and then again, manage that trade as you see fit. I'm actually going to target down to 2.8410. Okay, but already that trade's up substantially. If you look at the P&L on that trade, you're already up $125 per contract. Okay, so manage that trade the way you see fit. The way you see fit on that particular entry, right? It's copper. It can swing back the other way. I'm targeting 2.8410, and then I'm trailing my extensions down. Okay. So what was I going to say? Going back to this. So I want to see if we can fill the gap in the first half hour. I want to see if we're one time into the downside. We've already gotten a response out of that 23, 22 area. And if you took that long, you should already have your 2 points as my guess on that particular trade. And then I'm keeping a loose eye on NQ. The thing that's driving this is that China canceled trade negotiations with the United States after the tariff increase. That's not a shock. Okay, but remember, a lot of this rally came from the U.S. and China when they announced that they were going to sit down and speak with each other. That's what drove a lot of the rally to the upside. Point B, if you're trading the news, right? Point B is very important. We have rallied off of every gap down that we've had related to trade news in China. Okay, so I would not get overly bearish, right? I'm going to let the first half hour burn, and then I'm going to go for setups. And the setups I'm using specifically is the big delta and the half-half trade entry on ES. So let's go take a look at this really quick. Drag this over. And look where our deltas are pre-market. So you can see that we haven't filled in. Looking at where our large deltas are pre-market, you see that 35.22 right there, pre-market. That's pretty much your bogey for a potential short. Okay, so there's, wow, why did it do this? Hold on a second. Sorry, guys. Something just happened that's weird. Hold on a sec. This switched time frames. Let's change that. Take this a second. Okay, there we go. That 3522 right there. Backside test of that. Okay, so there's two notes that I want to put in here. Those are your two biggest deltas. That's clearly your biggest delta right there. That's what you want to target for a backside test if you can get it for a roll to the downside. So let me erase all these lines so we can get clear on this. Wow, this is responding so slowly, and I don't know why, but I'm going to fix that. Okay, in order to rally for right now, you need either a, so like I said, that copper's already come all the way back. Well, I do not know what's going on with my charts. Hold on a second here. Something's just weird's happening on both computers. Hold on a sec. Wow. There we go. Okay, there we are. So I did not take my $125 a contract, and that copper trade's come back almost all the way against me. Okay, I will let it go because I'm trying to push down. I do not want the stop. I don't want 2 spot 8675 getting hit. I'll take the stop, and I'll start over on my next trade. Okay, so see this backside test right up into this 35.22. If you're aggressive on the short, that's what you're looking for, right? You're making two bets if you're trading against this delta. A, that we're not going to fill the gap, that we're not going to get responsive buyers, and you're comfortable taking a stop in the first 30 minutes of the trading day. Really, really important. You're comfortable taking a stop in the first 30 minutes of the trading day, right? Knowing that we've rolled down. There's no easy way to fix that. All I do know is this. If I get above that 35.22 and I close above here, I want to be long for a shot at the gap fill, okay? So conversely, right, I'm not shorting in the first 10 minutes of the day, but this is the right location because if you get above it, this trade's busted once we're above here. So if I so I'm going to the other direction. If I close above the 35.22, since we're in the hole, if I can get above the 35.22, the first close above, I'm taking half the trade, half on the way back, and then I'm putting my stop 2 ticks below this 35.22. I'm not shorting it because we've already rolled down, right? So and shorting gap downs is generally a bad idea business-wise. It may not be the case today, okay? And I'll probably look back just like I did on Friday with the biggest delta and go, oh, I totally missed the short, but I'm willing to sacrifice that. Particularly on the opens, it can just be really hard to short. Now, one other piece that I want to add to this. If we close below this with a red bar and a point of control underneath this 35.22 for a second time here, I will do half at the close, half on the backside test, stop right above, and I'm willing to flip. So understand that becomes complex, okay? I'm not willing just to short into this bar because my concern is that we've gapped down, pressed all the sellers, and we're going to run up and fill the gap. However, if we close back underneath it with a red bar point of control, so I've adjusted my trade plan a little bit here. If we close underneath with a down bar with a point of control underneath, I'll short half at the close of that bar, half on the backside test here, and I will stop everything 2 ticks above the top of this bar, and I'll do the opposite trade to the long side. Okay, I'm willing to do either side of that trade. My goal, if I get the long, which I prefer, is to come in and fill to Dalton's gap fill, which would be Friday's low, and then my extended target would be to push to the extended settle price, which would put me at roughly 29.34. So 29.32 to 29.34 is what I'm shooting for on the upside if this triggers to the long side. Okay, on the downside, If we close underneath backside test, we've already tested that half gap. I'll look for Dalton's gap fill at 29.19 will be my downside target on this trade. Okay, with the normal scales. And that's the trade that's setting up right now, so that's what I'm willing to take. So we shall see how it sets up. That's a pretty pivotal delta right there. So let's see what happens. And I'm not looking at NQ right now because when the news gets crazy on NQ, it tends to flip back and forth really fast and stress the daylights out of me. So I'm going to let it settle for at least an hour before I even take a peek at it. It's right at 7,500. That's a round number. Psychologically, it's an important number. I've been given feedback from some people that normally my first trade is the right trade. Let me see something because it's odd that people. Why am I having? Stop is 2.675. Okay, there you go. So, at any rate, long story short, whichever way I close above or below this bar, unless a new bar replaces it, I'll be long above, I'll be short below, and I'm willing to take that trade 2 times off that pivot. And I am going to take this prior to the end of the first half hour. Either way, that was the biggest delta overnight. That should run the table one way or the other. If someone else has a different point of view or a different opinion, let me know. I wonder if there's an issue with the link this morning. People that are normally in the room aren't in the room. It's weird. Anyways, let's see what they do. Again, that point of control gets above on that ES. You can paint me long. That'd be half, half, half on top, half on the backside test. Stop will be 2 to 2.5 points, somewhere in that range. And I'm still short copper. If that bar forms, the point of control will be above right now. That'll be a valid trade. The entry on that bar will be. So I'm limiting at 28, 29 and a quarter. Yes, I know that's right at the top of the overnight range. Okay. Again, this bar has to form or I'll pull the order if it doesn't. And then my limit on the other side of that trade, assuming that triggers, will be 28, 25 and a quarter. All right, so that'll obviously give me an average of about 28.75. My stop will be 28, 26 and a quarter. Okay, so about 2.5 points will be the risk on that trade. Actually, it won't be about. It is 2.5 points risk on the trade. Again, that has to form and it has to trigger. I will go the other way on that trade too if it flips to the other side of the range. And no fill. And no trade. So that trade will not set up there, so the order's pulled. I know. I wonder if, let's try this one more time. Okay, again, a close underneath this. So now I got to flip it the other way. See how the point of control isn't underneath this bar, right? So now I'm going to take this the other way. I close underneath here, okay, with a point of control underneath, which is what I need. I'll do a half backside test and push to the short side. I'm fine taking it either way. I just need to see it do something one way or the other. I'm going to try this alert thing one more time and see how many bells it sets off, if any. Hey, Victor, good morning. So again, the point of control will be under this time. So my entry on this case will be 292550. I'm limiting in there. Putting a sell stop in. And the backside test of that trade will be 292675. Okay, that'll give me an average of roughly 2926 to 2926 and a quarter. My stop on that trade will be 2 ticks behind. So that puts my stop at 292850, assuming it triggers, which it has not yet. And I'm still open on the copper if not scaled yet. The risk on that trade is 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 10 ticks or $125 a contract, right? So obviously I can just take that scale the first time and get a 1-to-1 RR if it'll set up. And we're just dancing around that big delta. So we'll see which way it goes. I am short 292575. And I have a limit to short 292675. And that is filled. My stop, hope it doesn't come all at one shot, will be at 292850. 6 minutes until top of the hour if you're uncomfortable with the noise or any of that other stuff. Obviously, the risk on this is one in my average is 2926 quarter, so my risk is 2 and a tick. Okay. So short. Average 92625. Stop 292850. And I'll note if I get stopped, right, my stop rate is higher in the first half hour than it is in the at any other time of the day besides the last 30 minutes to an hour. But the first half hour has my first and most stops, right? Nonetheless, that's a good setup against the biggest delta. I'll take it. It still hasn't been replaced with a bigger delta. And it's underneath VWAP. It gives me a chance to push in. Again, my downside target right now is at 29.19. And a retest of the lows obviously would be a normal place to scale. And the scales will be normal. Shall see how that works out. And remember, I will flip long above that. Guys, if I stop, I will flip this the other way. Something is triggering that alarm that is not on copper, so I'll have to figure that out. I'll just turn it off for now. I may get stopped on this, guys. And again, if I get stopped, it'll just fall under the first half hour. I took the trade, right? And I know the risk in the first 30 minutes is my stop rate, my win rate probably drops right down to 60, 58% to 60%. However, when you get it right, the RR can be fantastic. Nothing I can do from that standpoint. It looks like I'm going to get tagged right here. That sucks. NQ running. Stopped. That was quick and painful. Stop. Yes. Okay, so now, right? You got stopped on that trade and you took it, right? You have to write down, I took the trade in the first half hour. I know my stop rate is higher in the first half hour. Go look at the difference between what your goal was, right? The difference between what your goal was and what you were hoping to accomplish and the risk versus your disappointment in getting stopped. For me, there's no disappointment. I simply understood that I was going to take that 35.22, whichever side we closed on first, right? And I got stopped. If it closes underneath a second time, I'll take that trade again, right? Not because I'm some kind of masochist. That is the process, and I tend to follow it through all the way through. 2-point stops don't endanger me at all, right? And if you don't like this area because we've overtraded, whatever you're trying to do, I guess the best way to put it is what I find people trying to do is work to avoid the stop instead of work to take the trade setup, right? So it just has to be a simple call. You trade in the first half hour, you don't. The stops are higher. After the first half hour, the win rate goes up significantly, actually. And then we just focus on whatever the next trade is. Let's see where we go. And that is never fun when they tag you almost to the tick. Copper has to get below, the reason why it's getting hung up here, it has to get below 2.8585, which we're sitting right on top of right now. And that's because that is Friday's value area high, right? You got to get back inside. So please keep that in mind on this trade. If it doesn't get below, you need that to sweep the range, right? And we're sitting literally right on top of that. There's top of the hour. Okay, I will. Thank you. Okay. Okay. File. Save. And then go to NQ. SW86. Okay. Okay. Save. Now I can turn the alerts back on. Let's see if that works any better. Thank you, John. And that really sucks that we're just dancing around that 35.22. I will take that trade again if we set up underneath, guys. That's following process. Guys, I've been coaching one-on-one. Second close below is usually more powerful than the first close below. So I'm ready to queue up on that same trade again. If you're not, right, be aware of that, right? Know where your risk tolerance is on these trades. On copper, you now have 9 ticks on copper, $125 a contract. That covers your stop on the trade. I'm going to scale half at 2.8580, 2.8580. I'm doing that now slowly. So I've taken off 2 contracts. I paid for most of the stop there at 2.8580. Okay. And so now, okay, now I'm pretty much risk free on that trade. Okay. So I've covered half. Now you can move your stop either to break even or leave the stop true as is, right? One of the two. And we did not close with the point of control underneath this bar, which is a requirement. So it's the first point of control underneath under this bar. Yes, it's ticky-tacky. I need to have it done like that. So long story short, I'll wait it out until it sets up properly. I have no risk left on that copper trade, right? And I'm going to let that either stop me or ride out. Okay. So I want to point something out, guys, when we talk about larger stops or smaller stops. Obviously, if I just put the stop 1 point behind or 2 points behind or 3 points behind or whatever you wanted, right, the trade would have survived and I could have flatted the trade. I don't care about that. My whole point is to keep my stops small and my RR significantly better if I can, better than 1-to-1, preferably 2-to-1 if I can get that, right? So the trade makes sense to me still to have taken that, even though it didn't work out that particular trade. Again, don't get focused on what stops you, get focused on what makes you money, right? And make sure you're taking your sets in proper order and that you're trading an appropriate size so that you can take your trades in sequence. And there it goes, copper. You're up almost $200 a contract on that trade now. And where did the point of control close on this thing? Seriously. That's close enough to hand grenades for me. So I'm going to take one more shot on the short side of this. I'm going to short 2926 one more time. Okay, if you're not comfortable with the trade, right, I realize it's chopping, right? I'm shorting 2926. The other half of this trade, I might end up with two stops right at the same place, 292675. I'm already limited at 292675. Same stop all over again, right? They can come right back up against me and take me. I'm comfortable with that, right? So stop is 28. Actually, it should be 2 ticks above this. This is 2825. Should be 292875. I do not have the 2675 filled yet. Again, it'll be 2 and a tick on that trade, so it'll be just over my old 4-point normal stop. I'd really like to get filled on this full size, if they'll let me. And I actually have an NQ short set up. I'll point it out in just a second. Got the 2675, same stop. If you're not comfortable, guys, I'm saying the same thing. It's chopping in the same area. We're not rolling one way or the other. You can wait, right? There's no way to fix this panacea on these big deltas. Sometimes we just chop around them. If I take a second stop here, I'll be done until we form a whole new delta. I can only take 2 stops in the same area. So I won't be able to flip to the long side if this closes above, right? I won't take 3 stops. That's it. And I'll just have to wait till the market resets. It'll probably take me an hour to get that done. Okay. Let me put that out. Short, yes. 2926.38 average. Stop. 928.75. Okay, let's put in. And copper, you now have $275 per contract, right? Please manage that trade appropriately. Okay. So I'm bringing stop down to break even on balance on that. You're on, and I'm pretty much risk free. I'm going to bring that down one more scale right here to bring that down to 2 cars. Okay, I started with 5. And I'm scaling that at 2 spot 8515. 2 spot 8515. Down to 2 cars. Okay, and that should be $287 a contract, almost $300. Zero risk moving forward. All I can do is get stopped. And we're below the value area high. To break even. That's a great first trade on copper for the day. Let's see if we can get the rest of it to roll. Okay. First scale on ES will be 2 2724 and a quarter. Oh, did I just say that? Sorry, ADD'd it. 2924 and a quarter. 2924 and a quarter. And obviously, I haven't gotten that done yet. And I am full size on that. Peter, did you take the copper setup? That was perfect in what we were talking about. Were you able to grab that? Did anyone take the copper with me? That was pretty much a perfect trade setup. I'll let you know when I have a cover indication. You're almost at 400 a car on that copper. That's almost equivalent of 10 ES points. So it's actually 80 ES points. So I'm now up 412 per car. So I'm taking another scale there, and I'm just leaving the trailers again. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. One car left. And I didn't get that. So I'm taking, I didn't get anything. I'll hold on a second. It flipped on me. I'm going to try to grab two spot 8475. Affiliate. Build. That was plus $400 roughly a contract. Still getting some alert here. I'm going to have to work out where that's coming from. I don't know where it's coming from, but something's wrong. We'll work it out later. Turn off that alert. And giddy up, yes. Let's go. Again, my first scale is 2924 and a quarter. And where am I on? I just had a big old nasty. Oh, there it is right there. Below 75, 22.75, and I'll look short on NQ. On ES, again, we're not falling out of bed, right? It's just taking forever. So manage the trade the way you're comfortable managing it. I know I am. And I have my scale down there at 2924 and a quarter. I need a little bit of love on that. So I have one car left out of the original 5, right? And the stops break even. So I want to talk about that for a second on copper. Okay, let me pull up the chart really quick. I'm below value area high from Friday, right? I'm looking to sweep the range down to value area low down here. What I am risking is giving back. Now it's $262 a contract, right? My entry was really, really solid on that. Okay. Entered right up against the biggest delta of the session. Here, let me pull that up. Right. Entered right. I have an arrow drawn to it, right? Closed underneath. Entered the trade. Didn't take my original scale. Came all the way back. Pound, pound, pound. Roll down, right? Value area high is sitting at 2.8585, which is right here. Right. So now it would be logical that it comes up for a backside test. I'm waiting for my next setup. And then you can see I had all these big deltas over here, all sitting on top. That effectively, that whole block from here to here, that whole thing now becomes my resistance, right? So I only have one car left. I've been paid. I'm going to let the trade work itself out, right? If I get it right and we roll and sweep the range, I can end up with $2,000 or $3,000 on that one contract. If I get stopped I gave up my capital that I had left on that one car, but I'm safe and sound, right? On ES is not rolling to the downside like I'd like it to, right? I'm taking 2 shots in the same area. I've not taken a scale, and I'm now down on that trade, right? So we've gapped down. We're inside the first 30 minutes. We haven't traded above or below. Let me get rid of this, right? We're trading inside the first 30 minutes of that chart. We have not traded above or below that first. Hold on a second here. Okay, we're trading inside the first 30-minute bar. If I can drag this over, I will. Okay, trading inside the first half hour. We're not we've gapped down, so you got to assume the one time is to the downside. We got to trade above this first 30-minute bar to break that, or form a new 30-minute bar. We have the bottom of the hour coming up in 15 minutes, and it would be normal for the IB to set up. It'd be normal for that IB to set up for a test, either at the IB high or the IB low. Again, if you're not comfortable with the PA, it's taking too long, whatever your parameters are for your trade, you can just go, we're not moving directionally either way. I'm going to take the trade off, right? Obviously, the copper is not big enough to cover my ES loss. If I take a second stop, I'll be definitely down on the day. There's no question about it. Just the size isn't there yet on copper. So what I've learned over time is that the time factor does not matter on this. The trade either works or it doesn't. And everyone knows I'm pretty loath to move my stops, right? So manage it as you see fit. NQ needs back below 75.22 to do any damage to the downside. If it does get below 75.22.75, I will look to the short side. Right now, there's nothing for me to do there. As a matter of fact, technically it's triggered long, but I'm not taking it long. So, and guys on YouTube, I forgot to turn it off earlier. I'll kill this in about 5 minutes. I just want to see if I can carry that ES trade through to fruition. But I don't move my stops. I take the pain if I'm wrong. It forces me to focus on the proper entry and proper process. And once I'm in the trade, I don't want to agonize over, did I get the trade right? Did I get it wrong? Is this indicator flashing this? Is this market doing that? Your brain will take you to places that are pretty bad. I just prefer to sit in the trade and either get paid or get stopped. One of the two. And let me get rid of this. Also, watch for the point of control to shift down. Would be indicative of potential, right? You need the rest of the build around you to tell you what's going on, but potential reversal back the other way. And I'm watching for the one timing to end, guys, right? And then looking for the 50-60 back if we start one timing to the downside. I still need, unbelievably, you'd think on a day like this it'd be easy, a point of love to get my first scale on the CS. And again, if you don't feel like you want to hold to the 2 points, don't. But you got to have the RR make sense over time, or it'll always be very frustrating if you don't. Well, I need one more tick. Should get filled here. Did anyone get filled on that? Did we trade through that? I think I'm due a fill. Mari, did you get filled? Were you in the trade? How many cars went off there? I really think I'm due a fill. I mean, 519 cars went off on the bid. And you're telling me I wasn't in 519? I wasn't somewhere on that list? That's almost unbelievable. When I put the order in, there was only like 400 cars sitting there, like right now. Filled. Okay, there we go, finally. So +2 done. Now you got to make a decision on this trade. Do you bring your stop to break even or do you leave it as is? In this particular case, I'm bringing it to break even at two spot 292650. Okay. And the reason for that is I'm down on the day. I may be killing myself P&L, but we're probing the low. I either just need it to go or to stop me flat. Okay. Break even. That helped my day significantly there. We'll see if I can get the extension down. Got to move the stop after I said all that. There we go. Stop moved. 292650. I'm looking for 2919 on the downside. May not get it. ES is approaching, getting below 75, 2275. If it doesn't, I have no hope of this ES rolling with it. So just sitting patiently. Again, if you don't like that plan and you just want to take your 2 points, my way isn't always the best way. I am carefully watching for that point of control to shift lower. Assuming I can find where my chart is. There it is. So right now the point of control is 292675. I'm looking for that to shift lower. And now I will ride this into, so this is my plan. At the low, I will take a small scale. I'm going to try and push that to 2919 to the downside. And now we relax until we get a new setup. Again, very frustrating to get stopped the first time, but what I have found consistently in my research, if you don't take the trade the second time it closes below or above a key location, you end up watching it go to your target without covering your P&L. So guys on YouTube, I obviously completed that trade out the way I wanted to and demonstrated it. So what y'all saw this morning was appropriate targeting of entry, right? You saw the risk management where I took the reasonable stop, right? Didn't get run over, didn't get crushed. It was 2.5, I want to say, right? And then I re-entered and I followed my process exactly from beginning to end on both copper and on ES. The net benefit to that is, even though I'm not having obviously any kind of monster day yet, I need this thing to roll down in order to give that to me. So I'm scaling 2923 quarter next. Put that up there, guys. Small. 923.25. Then targeting 919. Filled. 92325 filled. Now I'm targeting the now I'm targeting 2919 on balance. Okay, or stop at break even. Okay. Obviously someone's going to look for a double bottom there, and what will reset that? So what you saw me take my trade, take my stop, stay on process, re-enter the trade, right? Wasn't comfortable, right? And on copper, you saw me enter the trade. I didn't take my first scale. I did take off the scale to take off risk the second time. Scaled down, so now I'm down to one car left on that trade, and that one car is for potential a maybe home run. I have to hold underneath 2.8585 to get that home run. That would be the first step in that process, right? And there's a lot of things that have to happen in order for that to come to fruition, right? And so even with a relatively smaller account, the potential is there to make money. You can't freak out when things don't work. And I'm guilty of it more than anyone else, right? You got to have a process and you got to know what you're doing. And then you got to be willing not to think about it after you've taken your setup and just let it work itself out, right? So thank you for joining me. If y'all like to join us on a regular basis, send me an email to tradertough@gmail.com. I'll be happy to extend a pass out to you. Anyways, have a great day, guys, and make a lot of money. Signing off YouTube now.